We would like to begin our time together by acknowledging that the land on which Refugee 613 is based is the traditional and ceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. We are grateful to have the opportunity to present in this territory. And also, I would like to have a brief introduction of our team who are assisting us in today's webinar. Maybe next slide, please. So I am Marcel Herawi, the outreach coordinator of the MSI project, and my colleagues will be and my colleagues are in this webinar are the Louisa Taylor, the Refugee 613 director, and also Ibrahim Shinwari, the national program manager, Leila Ju, the project coordinator, Wajma Froh, community manager, and Nargis and Ben, digital content specialist. Thank you all for your support here. And we would like to officially start our info session and give the floor to Louisa to have a brief interaction about the whole Refugee 613 and specifically the DMSI project. Over to you, Louisa.
Thank you, Marcel. Welcome, everyone. So just great to have this turnout today. Some of you already know about Refugee 613, and for those who don't, I'll just explain a little bit. First of all, our name is associated with the 613 area code, which is the original phone code for Ottawa. That's where we started and where we're still based, and we still have a lot of activities, but we now also have national programs like the one you're going to hear about today. So what are we? We're not a typical settlement agency. We are not providing case management on a regular basis, and we are not teaching people language or helping them find housing directly, but our focus is on communications. How do people find the information they need, whether they're a newcomer, a refugee sponsor, a member of a service provider agency, or basically any stakeholder who's trying to access information related to settlement in order to improve the welcome and integration of newcomers in our communities. And so what that means is we do a lot of stakeholder convening to share information in person. We do content development, so we focus on creating multilingual content that's easy to understand and shareable online. We do training in communications, and we do digital innovation, which you'll hear about today. And so that means we work across sectors and we work at different geographic levels, but the topic is always, the lens is always refugee and immigrant welcome and integration. Next slide, please. So the digital messaging and digital messaging for settlement and integration project started in 2017 or 2018 actually, based on an early model where we created an Arabic language group. Excuse me, you might hear my dog crying in the background. Sorry about that. That group was designed to help people get closer to settlement services and information by making sure they had the information they needed in the language and on the channel that was most convenient for them. And so that led to a national project funded by IRCC, and we're really grateful for their ongoing investment in this work. And we were researching how digital messaging, so things like WhatsApp, Telegram, Weibo, Facebook, how are newcomers using those to access information, and how can service providers also use those to reach their clients? We had a national summit in 2021 to share what we learned and provide training. We had over 350 practitioners join us over 2 days. It was an amazing event. We also have a toolkit to help people make the right choices in setting up their own digital groups for newcomers. That's available in English and French, and we have contact information at the end if that's something you would like to receive as well. So what are we going to talk about today? It's our newest pilot, the Afghan digital service, which we had a soft launch for in sort of December, January 2022, and a formal launch in March 2022. The idea is that clients can join the Telegram app on their phone and ask questions and get information curated to their needs Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. This service complements and supports the services provided by settlement professionals. The focus is on general information. We're not getting deeply involved in case management, but we help people navigate some of it's like the FAQs of settlement. And as of February, we're proud to say that more than 720 Afghan newcomers have joined the group. And I think it's over to my colleague Wajma now.
Thank you, Louisa. I also want to welcome everyone to this webinar, and I hope that this will be an interesting discussion for you as well. So basically, as Louisa mentioned about the Afghan service project, that the pilot we started last year, January, and we have around 700 and more than 720 people in the group. So we basically have turned an app, which is Telegram, into a professional, platform for the newcomers and Afghan newcomers who are new to Canada and they are struggling with information, for example, on basic things in their own language. So it's based in Dari and Pashto. We use different strategies, text, audio messages for people with lower literacy, or private messaging for some family or other very personal issues. We have the moderators in the group so it's a kind of moderated a group that runs from 9 EST to actually 5 PST at the Pacific. So we have moderators who kind of, make sure that the colleagues on the other side can also have the access to the information on a timely basis. At the same time, we do service referrals. It means, for example, I will tell more about the examples later on, that service referrals is another aspect of our work where we refer the clients to you all for services when they are not aware about those services. How does this work? So basically, we promote the group outside and within Canada through settlement organizations like yours, through IRCC, for example, and other stakeholders, and somebody from the group refer their family members or friends or somebody they come across, and so they send us a message on the Telegram to the moderator, and then the moderator makes sure that they get their full information in terms of their province name, phone number, UCI, and try the next thing. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then the client, so we have a sort of a community guidelines just to make sure it's a safe space. It's a space where people can trust to share, the questions. And therefore, we have community guidelines just to ensure that, this group is mostly used for the purpose that it has been created. So the client agrees to the community guidelines, which is pinned in the group. And after that, we admit the client into the group. So we did a survey a while back with the current members, just to make sure that the coverage of such a platform. And what we found out that at least with an average of 5 more people, the members share the information. That includes their family members, that includes, their friends and contacts or people they come across, in their daily life. Thank you. And Nargis John, please take.
Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to have such a great turnout. It's a great pleasure for us to be here with you guys. Thank you for joining us. So as previously mentioned, part of the data we collect from the group members is also where they are based at, which is stored in our internal database that is safe. The largest number of group members, as shown in the map, are based in Ontario, which is like 278 members. We have 163 members from British Columbia, 118 from Alberta, and 9 from Quebec, and 3 from New Brunswick, 8 from Saskatchewan, and 4 from Manitoba. And we hope by the end of the sessions, we will have more members from all these different provinces. In the next slide, since January, we have disseminated around 900 pieces of settlement-related content that has been shared in the group. But the question might be, what are these contents? So we define the content as a piece of information that we internally create from scratch as a result of like a lot of research, or exist already on governmental websites. It can be anywhere on the internet, but requires adaptation and translation, of course, because our target audience are Afghan newcomers, or it can be events and resources by newcomer organizations. All these contents are shared in the group in Pashto and Dari, as previously mentioned by my colleagues. The content topics vary. We create content on health system, education, social support, transportation, housing, finance, and many other topics. This is a great example that you can see on the screen of a piece of content that we shared a while ago in the group on bank accounts and tips for credit cards. So this content was created using information from an information session that we attended by the Afghan. It was presented by the Afghan Women Organization for Afghan Newcomers. After the session, we had to collect all the notes, and of course we had to do more external research on the internet and create a piece of content and share it with the members in the group. One more important thing is that we also record the content that we post in the group into Dari and Pashto languages for those who come with low literacy skills or who cannot read. In the next slide, as previously mentioned, we do share resources and events from settlement service or organizations or your organizations. These can be events, trainings, workshops from all from the community organizations for newcomers. So because many Afghan newcomers, they struggle with internet navigation, Wi-Fi and I on a daily basis, we check the event pages on your websites, or we visit your Facebook pages and we share them in the group. For instance, we shared from the PICAS, it's an organization in Mississauga. We shared, they had a tax clinic, they shared their posters with us, and we shared them in the group with like a description. We also shared another program from the Muslim Food Bank and Community Services. They provide they help kids with 13 to 18 or youth from 13 to 18 by teaching them the English school subjects. Now the question is that do we hear back from the group members if they have joined or benefited? From time to time, luckily, group members come to us and they are very happy with some of the events. Most of the events that they join, for example, a great example is that we shared a poster of vocational trainings that were in Toronto, and a group member reached out to us and about how they have been able to earn income because they found out about this training from the group. And there are many other such great success stories from it. But now the question is, content development is indeed a vital part of our information sharing, and therefore in this slide we will be talking about how do we create content. So the first stage starts with ideation. Because we have a presence in the group, we always identify what are the group needs. We receive questions from group members asking us if we could explain a particular topic, or it can be trends in the community. For example, the governmental benefits that was announced. A great example over here that you can see today is a client asked us about the eligibility for the one-time top-up to the Canada housing benefit. that immediately triggered that, okay, there is a need. We received many more questions from the group members on this, this benefit. So we took this to the next stage, which is in the next slide, the research. So we researched about this, the Canada housing benefit, and we began drafting. We have a document, more than 300 pages, where we store all the content that we develop. It's in 3 languages, English, Pashto, and Dari. And we took it to the, once we drafted the content, we have the review stage where we go back and review it. If there are any other comments, we revise them, and once it's approved, we go to the next stage. But now, depending on the nature and the length of the content production phase usually takes us 6 to 10 days. Once it is reviewed and given a green light, we take it to the translation, because our group members speak in Pashto and Dari. Once it is translated by our translation consultants, it's important for us to take it to the community, to people in the community, so that we can get the community review on them if it really is meeting the language requirements. And then we publish them in the group. And here we have the example of when we shared, as a result of this research, we shared this piece in the group. Inquiries. So we also receive part of in the group, we respond to questions. We have so far, I guess Warshma will be taking over the slides. Thank you. Sorry, Warshma, I was so excited to talk and go on.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically in terms of the inquiries that we receive in the group, they, vary from like daily issues to more kind of, complicated ones, but a lot around settlement, but also, family sponsorship that we refer to different organizations. So basically in the past 1 year, where we have, seen the level of inquiries that have been coming into the group, we have kind of categorized them into these 5 areas, but there are many others as well that we respond to on ad hoc basis, like family sponsorship, the PR process. That is like the #1 kind of inquiry that we receive. Somebody, does not know how to respond to an email that IRCC sent them for the photo requirements, and they cannot read that, link that was given to them. Or someone who is, not able to find a walk-in clinic. They have written to their caseworker, but their appointment is coming in the next few weeks, and, really write in the group, and we find them at walk-in clinic near them, and they're able to get there. Or, for example, housing related, like issues around contracts. For example, we have a number of information posts about like what are the things you need to be careful about, and when you are doing your housing, your rental contract, for example, some of the maintenance things. So at times, for example, we get questions about how do I, manage the waste collection, for example, waste management. Employment is another issue that we get a lot of questions, and we again refer them to you and many other, employment counseling agencies that provide employment. But at the same time, we help them kind of, customize things that they see outside. For example, they would say, somebody was asking in the group that I keep being asked that submit your resume in Canadian standards or Canadian style. And they had no idea what does that mean. So we help them kind of, share a number of samples, but at the same time, give them like a list of like 1, 2, 3, these are the things that you need to include in your resume, things like that. Or for example, if there are companies doing job fairs, we do share those in the group as well. As like the last thing, but not inclusive, there are many other issues as well. That driving and transportation is also an area that we get a lot of questions about, like how do I get up my G1 license, where do I apply for, how long should I wait for G2, and then if I had an accident, what do I do? Or somebody, can I drive, with my Afghan license? Or for example, is there a way I could translate my my license. So there's a lot of inquiries like that. But at the same time, I also have to say that we do get inquiries about people's, a lot of family related issues that they are not able to, kind of find an answer, or sometimes we help them connect with services. Like, for example, a number of women who have been going through family abuse, for example, like they would secretly share, and then after the sharing, they would clean up the message, or they would, delete that voice note that they would send and say, I have an abusive situation, what do I do? And then we connect them with a women organization that provides survivor support or legal aid, things like that. And this is how it looks like in terms of the inquiries. So we, on an average, and per week, we get around 200 of inquiries. And on daily basis, sometimes 30, 40. And these are like general questions about resources and services. For example, in the first screenshot, you would see that a client in Ontario is asking about OSAP and then how do they apply and what are the kind of breakdown of that, and then the moderator response. Or for example, on the right side, another client is asking about an English course, so we refer them to a LINK program. And I have to say that the referrals we make are very localized. We just make sure that we connect them with services near to them, and mostly within their own communities, if not possible in their city. Next slide, please. And referrals, as we do a lot of referrals since the program started, since we started this platform, we have done over 800 or 900 referrals to service providers, settlement organizations, or for example, in some of these referrals could be kind of, like employment. We get a lot of questions about people's credential evaluations. We connect them with the credential evaluation organizations, English language. A lot of times we do get, right now, for example, we get lots of questions about taxes, for example. I don't have my T5, where do I, find a tax clinic if they don't hear, from the organizations that they are connected with, then we'll try to help them. Or for example, schools also has been areas where we have been referring our clients to schools and in their communities, because we should mention that not only the membership is GARs, like the government assisted refugees, but we also have a lot of PSRs, the private sponsored refugees, so that they might not actually have a lot of information about settlement. Somebody has, sponsored their family, and they are not aware about these kind of services in their community, so we do refer them. And more than 1,000 referrals have been made directly to the service providers. For example, here there are two examples of a service referral that we have done. One is Edmonton, for example. This client is asking about an organization that can help them with employment and education. And then this is another one in Ottawa, who's somebody who was struggling very hard with doing a child tax application, because they did not speak the language. They could not open a CRA account, and they had no idea how to do all of that with themselves. And at the same time, they had one mobile for 7 people. This guy, I remember, he has 7 kids. And he was struggling, so we referred them to the Peel Career Center services, and they were very much able to help them, and they came back to us thinking about this. These are also examples of how clients are asking for different, service referrals. This is one for Durham about this. So we have people who actually, been here for a while as well, like in a small number. For example, somebody is asking about a citizenship application, or somebody, taxes again. And this is another example about taxes. And Louisa, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Wajma. So we're almost at the end of our presentation, and we're going to open the floor to questions in a moment. But really, we wanted to sum up by saying you can see the value for us of knowing more about service providers who are working with Afghan clients. So our request to you is to please tell us about your services. We may already know about you, and we may have referred people to you and already, but if you would like this cohort of newcomers to know more about you and for us to know that you exist in your community and who you serve, please tell us more about you. You can email Morsel at the address at the bottom of that slide, and we'll also share this information to everyone who registered afterward. We also would invite you, if you would like your colleagues to know more about the service, because one of the reasons we arranged this session is because we know that for a lot of people, they just don't understand what we mean by a Telegram group for newcomers and settlement information by digital messaging. And they may have a lot of questions. They may be quite skeptical, worried about security, worried about, is the information being given, that's being given, is it valid? Is it trustworthy? And so we wanted to explain how we work. And so if you think that this would be useful for your colleagues to know, we can either share this recording with you, or we'd be happy to come and do a briefing just for your organization and take all the questions and have a good discussion. And please tell your clients about the service. What we're doing essentially is removing some of the stress of those very basic questions, those FAQs that people are asking when they first arrive, and even 6 months later. They may have received a full orientation as soon as they arrived, but that doesn't work for everybody. It's a lot of information to absorb at once. One of the most valuable things about this group is that when someone's ready and they have a question, we can help them get started to find the answers. And in particular, if their caseworker is not available to answer this kind of basic question, it frees up the caseworker's time so that when that person actually has a more complex question or needs help with the next steps, once they have the information, then the caseworker is there for them, and we encourage that relationship always. I don't know if Wajma and Nargis really shared this as much because they're quite modest, but there have been several cases where someone has joined the group and told us they don't know what a caseworker is. They don't think they even have one. And we do a little bit of, in private, exploring what their situation is. And Nargis and Wajma have been responsible for helping people reconnect with caseworkers that they didn't understand that was a service that was available to them, and that help to close that gap. And that's one of the things that I think is most gratifying about this service. So please do tell your clients, encourage them to join the group. Help them to understand that it is an IRCC funded service. And we have some flyers at the end. We can share soft copies. We can also send you hard printed copies of the flyers if that's something you would like us to send you so that you can distribute when you see your clients in person. And most of all, please do send us your feedback. We are always looking for ways to improve. We're always ready to hear that, if someone has a problem or feels that we gave an answer that was incorrect, we encourage you to get in touch with us, and then we will fix that right away. We'll look into it and we'll see where we can do better. So that's a really important feature of our service, is that there's my dog again. We're always trying to improve, and we always want to hear from you.